Hi there, Karen Flaherty here from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well this week. I am going to be talking about the Gate 52 today, which is generally called the Gate of Concentration. Okay, so this week we've got the Gate 52 in. It started Friday morning, the 25th of June, and it'll run until June 30th. And so we've got also got the Earth in Gate 58, which is called the Joy of Life. So we've got the Gate of Concentration 52 coming off here, off the root, the top of the root, and actually, so this is what the transit chart looks like today, June 25th. And what we've got is, again, the throat defined and the solar plexus defined because of the 35 and 36 being in the transits. And then we've got the Gate 52, which is new. This just started today in the sun, and it connects with the 9, which is going to go away by Monday. But for the weekend, at least, everybody will have the throat and the solar plexus defined, and then the root and the sacral defined, which makes us all manifesting generators again. So welcome to feeling like manifesting generators again, if you're not one. So both that throat energy will be defined as well as the sacral energy. So do be sure to take a rest after the weekend if you are overdoing it this weekend. But both the throat and the emotional energy, if you don't usually have those are what we're going to be experiencing. So now we've got the 52 here coming off the top of the root, and we've got the 58 down here, also off the left side of the root. And as you can see, we've got quite a few gates already coming off the root. And it's interesting because this is the cycle or the quarter of basically maturation, generation, germination, right? It's all the growing season in human design as well as in, all over the world, right? And so things are pressured to grow. Things are feeling the pressure to grow. And as a result of the root center, we all feel the pressure to grow, to change, to evolve, to, move into the next phase of whatever is going on in your life. And so the earth is changing also. And so we are going to be experiencing that this week with these two root gates. So that gate 52, as I said, is called concentration. It's also called keeping still mountain or stillness in the original I Ching, which is kind of cool. It's the idea that we can be still within ourselves, that we can be still within our communities, and actually concentrate to be able to do things like write an article, write a book, create a project, finish a project, and in the shadow sense, to be a couch potato. It's about staying still. It's about having the ability to actually stay still. So the funny thing is that the shadow energy here can be either one. It can be very stressed out and not able to sit still at all, or, which we would call the not self behavior, right? Or it can be quite still and get quite a bit accomplished. So in the Definitive Book of Human Design, they say the temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. In other words, you're staying still to figure out what's going on and what your next steps are, perhaps. The incarnation crosses this week are the cross of service, the cross of stillness, and the cross of demands. And in the gene keys, it stresses the shadow, restraint is the gift, and stillness is the CD. So the actual stillness, the actual being still, being within oneself, and enjoying that, and really being able to either meditate or journal or write or do whatever it is you do when you're sitting still and focusing. That's what you can do this week. So it's quite a nice energy. If you are happen to be writing an article or a book or anything like that, it's a great energy for that. And in the earth, we have the gate 58, which is generally called the joy of life. It's also called the joyous or vitality in the original I Ching. And they describe it as stimulation is the key to joy. That the more stimulation you have, the more active you are, the more joy you will have, the more purpose you will have, the more purpose and growth that will lead to joy. And so these actually work quite nicely together, again, as usual, but they are both coming off the root, and so they both can create pressure. In the gene keys, dissatisfaction is the shadow here, vitality is the gift, and bliss is the CD. And so, as Richard Rudd says in this quote here, when we're stressed, time is always running either too fast or too slow. And isn't that the truth, right? So it can be difficult to be still when you're stressed. I have the hardest time quieting my mind, trying to meditate when I'm stressed. It just doesn't work. And true, true to form, time is either going too fast or too slowly. Too slowly in if you're waiting for something to happen, or you're anticipating something, and too fast when you're trying to get loads and loads of things done and you're stressed and you're making mistakes and nothing is quite right. So he also says that one of the key manifestations of stress is the inability to escape mental anxiety. And what he means by that is that the we are stressed out society, right? We have we're a lot of us are incapable of escaping that mental anxiety, because it's like a loop in our heads that it's just always going, always going, always going. And the more we get done, the more we think we have to do, right? And so this is again root center energy that we're feeling, as opposed to having the groundedness of the root center, which is what's supposed to be happening. We get stressed. And that adrenaline energy is just always there. And it's what leads to adrenal fatigue, burnout. Continued stress is just not good for the body. In fact, it's really harmful for the body, and it's really not good. In the Gene Keys, Richard says that basically all of us are unhealthy, right? Because we're all stressed. And the stress here, the stress of the 52, and is really all throughout the world. It's a stressful condition that leads to our disease, right? So it's the stressful conditions of modern life that lead to disease. If you go to some places that are isolated, or at least more isolated, they might have iPhones, but they don't have much else connection with the outer world. They have considerably less disease. And the countries who are supposedly Western societies, who are more advanced, have a lot more disease. So it's just an interesting thing to look at. He also says it's through restraint that human power can be harnessed in a creative way. And what he means there is that this gift of restraint seems like inaction. It seems like we're not doing anything, but really it's the balance between the extremes of activity and inactivity, right? So that the stillness is really the height, basically, of inactivity. And if with restraint, we can, on a daily basis, balance ourselves so that we're restraining ourselves when we don't need to be involved in something or stress ourselves out more. And we can be inactive or active when we need to be. So it's an interesting balance. So there's some people born during this period, during this week of the gate 52, with the sun in the gate 52. And as again, those incarnation crosses are the crosses of service, stillness, and demands. And it's interesting that Elon Musk is actually one of those. Michael Phelps, who you would not think of someone who's very still, but I happen to, seen some of his documentaries. And same thing with Elon Musk. I'm pretty sure that they have pretty long-term and serious meditation practices. Whether it's transcendental meditation or some other type of practice, I'm not sure, but they both have meditation practices that allow them to be still, right? That allow them to think, that allow them to be in either the activity or the inactivity that's needed in both of their realms of industry and sports, for that matter. So this cross can be one where there's, as I said, a lot of activity, or it could be a writer, such as Saint-Exupéry, who wrote the Little Prince, things like that. It can obviously go back and forth. Those extremes will be there in either way, as either inactivity or activity. And you can think of writing as inactivity, but I can assure you there's actually a lot of activity involved in it and a lot of thinking. So a lot of these people have led lives that allow them to really dive into that activity in a way that makes sense for them. So we have a few things happening this week. Not a lot, but it was the week that North Korea attacked South Korea and started the Korean War in 1950. In 1967, ironically, this week, the Beatles recorded All You Need Is Love in front of an international television audience. And I do believe that was part of a kind of one of the first telethons or kind of big international music events that they had. I don't remember it exactly, but I think that was the case. In 1945, at the end of World War II, the 50 nations signed the United Nations Charter, establishing the world body as a means of helping to stop another world war in this week. Also in 63, John F. Kennedy made his famous speech in front of the Berlin Wall, where he declared to the crowd that that everyone is a Berliner, and he's a Berliner. In 1919, Germany signed the Treaty of Versailles, which basically ended World War I. So interesting that some wars started this week and some wars ended this week. And then in 1956, Dwight Eisenhower signed the National Interstate and Defense Highways Act to create all these miles of interstate highways, which is pretty amazing when you think that this was only like 60 years ago that the highway system started. And here we are off on, at the beginning of the 4th of July weekend and, or just about to be, and probably traveling quite a bit more than we were at this time last year, which is a really good thing. And I hope that you have a wonderful week and enjoy the 4th of July. If I'll be doing another video, but if we don't see each other, have a wonderful 4th of July and a great weekend. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Be well.